This is the dawn of a new era in British karting. Over 550 drivers in 12 classes competing for victory over 18 race weekends. This is the Motorsport UK British Kart Championships.
Mini X30 may boast the smallest field here at Rowrah, but that doesn't mean it's short on quality, with 6 drivers separated by just 8 points in the championship so far. One of those 6 is Luke Watts, who enjoys backing from the Young Racing Driver Academy. Perhaps this weekend will be his chance to shine.
The corners are really nice and fun because the hills are quite fast. I'm 5th in the championship at the moment. I'm not doing that well in this championship.
Theo want to get a good start here after he fell back early in the race in race 1. Can he do better in race 2? Let's find out. Lights out, and we're racing for the Mini X30 straight away into the lead. Goes Oliver Greenall up in his second place from a cracking start from the second row. Goes Luke Watts. McCurris is down to 3rd and looks at Edward Pearce, who slots into 4th place of the Coles Racing chassis. Into McRae's for the first time they go, and it is Fusion Motorsport who leads the way. Cato Motorsport in 2nd place, and Crop Roches in 3rd. And already there goes Luke Watts trying to be a little bit racy into the Idle Hairpin early doors, trying to get 2nd place. McCurris ducks down to get as much straight line speed as possible up towards the Stuart S's for the first time. They'll head right, left, and then right again back out of the complex, and also trying to go with them looks to be them confident possibly either going to be Edward Pearson, or possibly could have been a good start from one of the 2 other Fusion Motorsport carts. It was, and it's the 17 of Jessica Edgar. So Edgar's up to 4th place, teammate Bart Harrison 5th. For 6th place, that's possibly is going to be Edward Pearson in 6th position. Yes, it is. So Pearson from the 2nd row of the grid drops down 2 spots to 6th position. End of the first lap, Greenall leads the way. Watts in 2nd place, McCurris 3rd, Edgar 4th, Harrison 5th, and Pearson 6th. From Line, Rigby, Algieri up to 9th from the back of the grid. A cracking start for the young Welshman, who's the teammate of Theo McCurris, up to 9th place from 13th. Canarton leads down to 10th. From Gabriel Stilp, Evan Brown, and then Ashton Parsons. Possible line up for 3rd place here is Theo McCurris under threat from Jessica Edgar into the Stuart S's for the 2nd time. And let's see if she can try and squeeze away and possibly get some revenge after that last lap pass that saw a denied 2nd place by McCurris. Top 4 nose to tail together. Now up into 5th now has gone the 41 of Edward Pearson, and that's at the expense of Bart Harrison. Now he'll come under threat from, by the looks of things, possibly the 2nd of the Cato Motorsport carts. That been driven by Aidan Line. Rigby comes across the line in, I think, possibly 8th position. Olivia Algieri 9th. Canarton lead 10th. And still Brown and Parsons remains the order. Top 4, nose to tail, up towards Iredale for the 3rd time. And still, Greenall has the race in command. Championship leader coming to the weekend, as we said, picked up both the heat victories and the final win yesterday. Was 1st and 2nd in the 2 heats today. Now looking to try and pick up a double heat final victory for this weekend if he can. Change for 3rd though, up into 3rd's gone Jessica Edgar at the expense of Theo McCurris. He will try and get her back on the run in towards Sunny. Closing in now, just behind in cart number 41 is Edward Pearson. 6th position now for Bart Harrison. And 7th place might start to be closed in now by Alfie Rigby, who's managed to displace Aidan Line, is up to 7th place as a result of that. But no, it's Alfie Rigby, then Olivia Algieri who's actually displaced Aidan Line as a result. So that's now changed around a little bit. So Fusion Motorsport leads, Cato Sport 2nd, and now up to 4th place now goes the 41 of Edward Pearson, squeezing up the inside of Theo McCurris, who's fighting back on the exit on the run down towards Stuart Corner, but the momentum around the outside after running wide on the exit for Pearson keeps him in front and maintains the 4th place. So another place lost for Theo McCurris. It's almost shades of yesterday when he fell back in the order in the first half of the race, then came good in the 2nd and pushed his way back up to P2. You see Oliver Green on the lead now, starting to come under threat now from Luke Watts as they turn out of Paddock Bend onto the pit straight to start another lap now. This is the end of lap 4. 5th place now for Bart Harrison. 6th, of course, McCurris down to 6th. Harrison's taken another spot as well, so McCurris is back another spot. Back up the inside to 5th he goes, past Harrison. And I think also it looks as though possibly Alfie Rigby's gone with him, I think. So as they come into the hairpin, we'll get a clear view on that in a second. Pearce now up to 3rd at the expense of Jessica Edgar. Stuart Esses down towards the right-hander at St John's and up into Sunny Corner again. And still, Oliver Greenall being put under threat now from the 37 of Luke Watts. So he's looking good after he spoke to him earlier on. Now on the sprint down towards the Esses once again at the start of lap 6. Fastest lap of the race was set by Edward Pearson. Fastest first sector that time from Edward. It's 48.32, the fastest lap set by the number 41. So Pearson up to P3 and trying to chase after the carts in front. In fact, he just set the new fastest lap of the race that time by. It was about half a hundredth quicker than the personal best that was set by Oliver Greenall on that last lap. So Greenall and Watts have this race in control at the moment. Pearson's trying to go with them, with Edgar in tow. Alfie Rigby's up to 6th, Harrison's 6th, and Theo McCurris down to 7th. He's going to have to try and hold back the tide of the carts around him, because sticking onto the back of this battle 5th and 6th, he's just behind now the 28 of Alfie Rigby on the KR Sport chassis. And they're both in turn chasing, but Harrison up the inside goes Rigby, making a big pass, and Harrison opens the door wide for McCurris to come back up the inside line. They are side by side on the exit. Up at P6 and the S's, they're going to be side by side. They're Banglers, they're still side by side in the S's, but still McCurris can't get through. So that was a successful pass to Alfie Rigby. McCurris tried to follow him through, but for the first couple of corners, went side by side and couldn't get the move done. So McCurris has to sit back in 7th place. And what it's doing now is bringing the rest of the field behind them back into play, because you've now got the likes of Algieri up to 8th, Aidan Lyne, Kanato Lee and Evan Brown and Gabriel Stilp. They're all in the mixes there as well. So the top 12 are pretty much all roughly around the same part of the circuit together. Right in the back is Ashton Parsons in the Mark Baines Motorsport chassis, back in 13th. But again, as it was, back into Sunny Corner, back into paddock once again. Still Greenall holding away from Watson in 2nd place. Pearson 3rd, Jessica Edgar 4th, Rigby 5th now, followed by Harrison, then McCurris, then Algieri up to 8th place. So Algieri's making some great progress in the back of the field, up 5 spots from where he started, after being disqualified from the first heat earlier on. And again, top 2 are almost sort of working together unofficially really at the front. It's only when we get towards the end of the race, like we saw with the X30 race earlier on, with the Army Cadet race earlier on, where I wonder if Luke Watts is possibly just trying to go with Ollie Green on the front here to try and maintain the position. Pearson remains 3rd, just trying to pull away now from Jessica Edgar in 4th place. He's got a couple of cart lengths over her. 5th, 6th and 7th come back into view. Rigby, Harrison, then McCurris. Then been trying to be closed in now by Olivia Algieri. Line still holds 9th position. Then 10th, 11th and 12th is looking pretty lively between Evan Brown, Kanato Lee and the 42 of Gabriel Stilp. Across the line they go to end lap 8. New fastest lap of the race from Edward Pearson yet again, 48.06, an average speed of 47.94, almost 48 miles an hour average speed around here. And the top 5 are just getting a little bit spread out now. Top 2 are together as they start to pull away. Pearson's pulling away from Edgar, who in turn is still pulling away from this fight that's going on for 5th position. Still, Alfie Rigby can't shake either Bart Harrison or Theo McCurris. So Theo's not really coming through the field with the same gusto that he had in the first final yesterday. And yes, he's just keeping his powder dry for an assault in the second half of the race. Just keeping tabs on the leaders as they come up through paddock bend. And still Luke Watts continues to apply the pressure to Oliver Greenall, and still he keeps on absorbing it all the way through the S's. Nose to tail, swinging over the curves. You can see Watts a little bit more aggressive as he takes much more curve than Greenall does to try and force a mistake here. Pearson trying to chase back after them. Lap time wise, it was both personal best for Greenall and Watts last time, 48.16, 48.11 respectively. But they're about a 10th off the fastest lap of the race. In fact, it's almost half a 10th off for Ollie Greenall. And you can tell Pearson's charging to set a new purple first sector yet again. He's a 10th quicker than both the top 2 in front of him. So, looks like Edward Pearson's the man at the moment. He's ever closer, just edging his way back into contention here for a possible podium place, possibly the victory. He's got the second half of the race to go. We've got less than 7 minutes now as they come back onto the pit straight. Pearson 3rd, but it's Jessica Edgar 4th. 5th, 6th and 7th isn't done, but we've still got now Harrison now in front of Rigby. The moves are made now for 5th position. McCurry still holding station in 7th. He's trying to find his points of possibly trying to get through. It's a trio of carts for 8th, 9th and 10th. Evan Brown has got back past Olivia Algieri now. Algieri down to 9th. Line rounds out the top 10 from Stilp, Kanato Lee and then Ashton Parsons. And as for the leaders, they come back into Stuart S's. Still, Greenall holds back Luke Watts for another lap. Pearson trying to break away from Edgar in his pursuit of the top 2. Jessica's doing well in 4th place to keep him within her sights. Here comes possibly up the inside of Alfie Rigby in 5th position. There's contact, they're both off into the barriers. Alfie Rigby and Bart Harrison. That was Rigby diving up the inside line. And off the road, Rigby gets back on, puts his hand up and says, well, not sure what happened there. Bart Harrison's not impressed. Back onto the road he goes. But down to last and 13th place, unfortunately, for Bart Harrison with a lot of work to do. That's going to hit him hard in the points. And I'm sure the stewards might want a word with that. So it's actually down to 12 because he's just going to get back on the road ahead of Ashton Parsons. So back towards the front, and now there's a clear gap now for 4th and 5th position. And what that's also done is opened up the gap for Theo McCurris, because both drivers have gone off the road. Theo now has a clear road to try and possibly reel in the top 4 cars with 5.5 minutes to go. He's got a nice gap behind him, got a large gap in front, but he's got quite a big task here. But with that clear air, it might start to help him a bit more. So let's watch his lap time to see what he can do. So for 6th place behind them, it's now Olivier Algieri scrapping with, looks to be now Brown and Line. Up the inside possibly went the 11 of Brown on the move for Algieri. Algieri didn't widen the first pass of the S's. Brown keeping him honest as they come back down towards McRae's. And Line is in there 2 and 8th position. Kanato Lee is 9th. Gabriel still 10th. Rigby is still holding station in 11th place. Bart Harrison 12th. About an 8-second gap between them at the moment. I think that's probably for the best after the contact. As we've now got less than 5 minutes to go in this second final of the weekend for the Mini X30s. And now look at the lead battle, because it is still nose to tail, but watch Edward Pearson creeping corner by corner, lap by lap, second by second, ever closer to that top 2, and he's almost bringing Jessica Edgar with him. Looking at the lap times last time, let's have a look and see what the gap is. The lead gap between 1st and 5th is 5.18 seconds. In clear air, here comes Theo McCurris. The gap was 5.1, it's now gone to... What's it gone to now across the line? 5.09, so he's found another 10th or so, but he's not closing in quick enough. He needs the top 4 to start battling and losing time to try and benefit from this. He's in a bit of no man's land. He's catching the carts in front, but not by enough to be much of a threat. But at the same time, he's not really being caught by anyone behind, so he's kind of a race of his own in many cases. Now to the Stewart S's. The top 4 almost nose to tail, but Edward Pearson now decides, right, time for me to join the fight now. Try this on for size, boys, as they come into Sunny Corner, and he's now on the back of Luke Watts. I'm sure Luke will look back and see him on his rear bumper and think, who the hell are you? Where have you come from? Looks back and does just that. In 2nd place, Pearson now on his tail. He's got more to worry about. This is now a bit of a catch-22 situation for Luke Watts. He's got to keep one eye on the leader in front and one eye behind. The very feisty Edward Pearson, who takes the wider entry into McRae's to get right onto the tail. And Watts thinks right now, no more messing around, up the inside into Iredell's and trying to make the move. But again, Greenwood just sweeping across and holding the place. And they got the inside for 2nd place now is Luke Watts on that move, trying to get up the inside of the leader. Didn't really work. As now up the inside for 2nd place goes Pearson. I think he's made it stick as they come back into view, and the answer is yes, he has. So all started from that move into Iredell's, trying to dive up the inside of a leader, couldn't get it done, and as a result of that, Pearson had the momentum, shot straight up the inside into the next corners, and up into 2nd place he goes. So 3rd place for Watts. Pearson dives to the inside to defend from a possible retaliation from Watts. He now looks back and thinks, oh goodness me, Jessica Edgar's on my tail as well. So it's now 4 for the lead. Look at this, all this battling, all it's doing is bringing the carts behind back into contention. Behind them, Theo McCurris, gap is now 5.1, it's stabilised, so Theo McCurris isn't really catching the carts in front. He's got 2.5 minutes left. But Jessica Edgar now comes into play here. She's the 4th of this leading 4-cart train. So it's Fusion Motorsport that leads, Coles Racing in 2nd place, Cato Motorsport down to 3rd, and the 2nd the Fusion Motorsport carts in 4th position. Now, can Edward Pearson do what Luke Watts wasn't able to do? Can he find a way around Oliver Greenall? He wants his 2nd final victory of the weekend. Pearson might try and deny him. He gets a good run exit, exiting the Sunny Corner, slightly tighter on the apex, and Luke Watts is hovering around in 3rd place, as is also Jessica Edgar looking down the outside line. It was a tight exit from Paddock Bend. Greenall looks across, sees that Pearson's right there on his racing line. 2 minutes to go as they come through the S's, all 4 of them together. Down towards McRae's. Edgar looks to the wider outside line to get the cut back on the exit of McRae's. Can't get through, sits back in 4th place, down towards Iredell's. Then he's going to try and make a move. Pearson thought about it. Again, slots back into line on the racing line and back into 2nd place. Now you can see Greenall looks back. Sees it's not Luke Watts putting him under pressure. It's now Edward Pearson diving up the inside back into 2nd place. Possibly goes Luke Watts, but he doesn't get it done. In fact, as he holds on to 3rd, is now being put under massive pressure for Jessica Edgar. Likewise on the Greenall for Edward Pearson, who takes the wide approach into Sunny, looks for the cut back on the exit. isn't able to get through. And again, wide racing line into paddock bend, tries to get the switch back on the exit to dive up the inside line on the pit straight. Look at this, 2 by 2 down towards the S's once again. It's still Greenall, Pearson, Watts and Edgar. The top 4 separated by less than half a second. Down the outside goes Edgar to try and get third place. It's been a change for third position as Watts has stayed in third. I thought it would have been a change for a second. Watts looking back at the inside for second place. Here comes Pearson closing up in the braking zone. Edgar looks around the outside of Watts for third place to get the momentum. She's going to try and put herself along the outside line. They're going to be side by side for third place on a sprint down towards the Stewart S's. Can she try and put herself in line for a podium place? The answer is no, not yet. Back out to Stewart S's they go once again. Back towards St John's. Pearson now getting very racy into St John's, looks again to the outside line. He's forcing Greenall to go defensive at every single corner at this final complex. And here he goes again to the outside line, looks for the cutback, but again Greenall parks the car on the apex. There's a bump and a second bump on the back of the rear bumper. There's now 24 seconds to go on the clock as they head through the S's now for the second to last time. And look at the gap now, look at the gap. Theo Mercouris, all that battling, he's coming to play. Now look at the gap, it's been halved. It was 5.1 seconds, it's now 2.2. So he's taken about half a second. If Theo Mercouris' race might not be over. Here up the inside for the lead goes Pearson. But still, Greenall holds the lead as he comes up into the exit of Iredale's. Third place for Watts, fourth place for Jessica Edgar. She may well look backwards because Theo Mercouris is there and closing in hand over fist as they come into the Stewart S's. I'm not sure if he's close enough to try and capitalise on possibly getting a podium unless something kicks off with these first 4 on the final lap. But Mercouris is doing what he did almost in race 1, charging onto the back of the top 4. He may well stay 5th, but it's a great effort to capitalise on all the fighting. A little more civilised out of paddock bend. The last lap board goes out. Greenall has a tiny bit of breathing space into the S's now for the final time. Trouncing over the curves. Pearson is pushing like hell up towards McRae's corner. Looks to the inside lines to try and make the move. Tries to run through the corner. That might compromise his exit. Watts will be up there in third place. Edgar 4th. Mercouris is ever closing in. Back up the inside again. And as Watts trying to capitalise on the line that Pearson took to take the tighter entry into Iredale's, couldn't get it done, and now the run down towards the Stewart S's for the final time. Mercouris is in sight in 5th place. I think it might be too little too late. Battle of 6th behind also going on between Evan Brown and Aidan Line. Canarto Lee, Algieri down to 9th and Gabriel Stilt. Bart Harris is back up to 10th. Alfie Rigby's out of the race. Down towards Sunny Corner for the final time. Mercouris is on the back of Edgar. Could be shades of race 1 yesterday, but into the paddock bend for the final time. It's been a brilliant lights to flag victory. Oliver Greenall will make the double here at Rowrah with a fantastic victory, and what a defensive effort that was. 2nd place to Edward Pearson, 3rd to Luke Watts, 4th to Jessica Edgar, and 5th to Theo Mercouris. 6th place will go on the line to Aidan Line, who beat Canarto Lee as well, and Evan Brown. So Brown lost 2 spots on the final lap. Olivia Algieri picks up 9th, and Gabriel Stilt picks up the final top 10 spot from Bart Harrison, who will be bitterly disappointed and rather upset, I'm sure, with the incident with Alfie Rigby, but we'll let the stewards and the clerk of the course decide what action to take on that one, if any. And then Ashton Parsons will come through as the last classified finisher, with Alfie Rigby sadly retiring at about half distance after the contact. Fastest lap of the race was actually sub 48 seconds. It was Edward Pearson with a 47.91 after a brilliant effort from him, and he will possibly feel there could have been an opportunity to get through, but even so, I think it's certainly going to be a result that he can be proud of with 2nd place. But Ollie Greenall is the man of the moment. I wonder who's a McLaren DNA driver. That was a great drive from him. What a weekend it's been for Oliver Greenall. He takes a clean sweep of both finals, but he faced some strong competition from teammate Jessica Edgar and Luke Watts. How will his fortunes fare next time as he looks to maintain his Mini X30 Championship lead in the next rounds at Wigan?
It's been quite a good weekend. I wasn't that good in the heats this morning, so I started off 5th for the final. Then I wasn't that fast at the start of the final. Then I managed to catch up when Ollie started defending, but then I couldn't find a way to get through. Yeah, we were quite fast, just didn't really have the pace this morning in the heat. Hopefully I'll have some more good results and finish in good place in the championship.
It was alright. From 3rd. In the second to last final, I started 3rd but finished 4th because defending. Second final in the heats, I came 2nd in the first one, 4th in the second one, and in the final I was pushing Oliver, and then Edward Pearson and Edgar closed in. And then I got overtaken, managed to hold my ground, but unfortunately for Pearson, he's got a drop down what put me 2nd. But
Well, yesterday was good. We won both heats and the final yesterday, and then today didn't start off great, 5th in qualifying, but then won the first heat and was 2nd in the second heat, and then I started pole for the final, and I kind of got a little gap at the start, and then they were pushing. Luke was pushing me, and then they both kind of closed in. Edward kind of closed in at the end, and then I started defending and managed to hold the win from there. I've got a little gap now. I think like just over 10 points. So it's very close in the championship at the minute, but I think I can still get the win.